Welcome to Hallmark Movie Drafts, the monthly podcast where guest panelists are all Hallmark movie enthusiasts who love to debate, rank, and create definitive top 10 lists of Hallmark movies. It's November, and this month we are drafting the Hallmark movie filmography of a Hall star who I think has done more different mystery series than any other Hall star currently. She kicked off her sleuthing in 2015 with the Murder She Baked series. Then she traded in her apron in 2019 for a headset and a mic in the Chronicle Mystery series. And I guess she decided being a podcaster sleuth wasn't all that, and she put her apron back on to star in the Hannah Swenson Mysteries, which is the same character she played in Murder She Baked. So math is hard, but I'm calling three different mystery series here. I'm talking about the one and only Alison Sweeney, who has starred in 30 movies as of this recording. I'm Lynn, your host, and I'm really excited today to have a very special co-host filling in for Erinbeth. It's Alicia Lomas-Gross. Listeners, Alicia wrote the Hallmark movie Perfect Harmony that premiered in 2022, and it starred James Denton, Sherry Saum, and Julia Benson. Alicia, tell us a little bit about your writing origin story and how the heck did you get your script into Hallmark's hands?
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. I've always had an active imagination, and I know when I was younger, I drew characters and also created stories for them, but I'm a terrible artist. Writing like screenplays and TV shows has always interested me, but I was too much of a person who wanted to major in college in something that could give me a stable job. And I majored in biology and I went to graduate school in forensic science. I'm a forensic scientist during the day. And then sometime after that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at this. And I started taking screenwriting classes at local colleges and at UCLA. And then I just started in writing groups. I didn't really tell anybody outside of the writing groups that I was writing when Perfect Harmony was announced. I think that surprised a lot of people because I had never told them, just because I live in Southern California and everybody around here has a screenplay. I guess I was waiting for some level of success before I announced it to everybody. So I was in a writing group, and the leader of the group, her name is Pilar Alessandra. She has a podcast called On the Page, and she does script consulting, teaching classes, things like that. And so she had writing groups, and in a different writing group that met on a different day was a former Hallmark executive. And so Pilar recommended me to her. I submitted some samples of my work. She read them. And at first, I was going to write an installment of the crossword mysteries, but that didn't work out. And so after that, she sent my samples to producers at Hallmark. And then they contacted me with the idea for Perfect Harmony. And so that's how it got started.
How long was that process from beginning until when
Oh,
it
a
finally
long,
aired?
I think 2019 is probably when I submitted my work to Hallmark. And then I turned in the first draft of Perfect Harmony to Hallmark in 2020. And then it sat somewhere for a little bit over a year. I don't know, someone's inbox, I don't know. And then a different executive picked it up. And then when my producer contacted me about, hey, it's back on, like it had already had a projected shooting date. It was like dead for over a year and then it was back up and running. Yeah, so 2019, I'd say, and then it aired in 2022. So 3 years. I don't think that's necessarily normal, but it happens.
We're just glad it happened. I hope you're working on something else. Maybe someday you'll share some news with us. But in the
Yes.
meantime,
Yeah.
I know that you've been flexing your writing skills by coming up with some trivia questions related to Alison Sweeney's movies that you're going to torture the panelists with in just a few minutes. Speaking of the panelists, they've had several months to put together their own personal top 10 lists of eligible movies. But of course, Hallmark dropped two new Allison movies within the last 30 days, including one just like 3 days ago with Nile Matter. Their goal today is to try to get as many of the movies on their personal top 10 lists that they've ranked first to 10th onto the final list, the definitive list that they come up with today. Players will get 1 point for every title on their personal list that appears on the final list, and an extra point if it's in the same ranked position. And whoever gets the most points wins the match and is eligible to compete in the 2024 Hallmark Movie Drafts Tournament of Champions that'll take place in January and February. So, are there big stakes? Maybe not, but there are stakes, and that's why we're here. Up first on the panel is my friend and usual co-host. It's Erinbeth. Erinbeth, how are you doing today?
I'm so much more calm than I was in the Taylor draft. I don't think I texted you once, Taylor Cole. I don't think I texted you once to tell you how nervous I was. I don't know, which means I am going to do horrible because it's always the calm before the storm, right?
It is.
But
It
I'm
is.
as with Taylor, I'm like, I have decided I will come in last in trivia, and that is the way it will be.
So, listeners, Erinbeth has a screen background that I object to heartily. But Erinbeth, why don't you tell everyone what you're showing us all here in the Zoom?
Team Norman. I was Team Norman before, but watching them all in order just together recently, I'm more Team Norman now than I probably ever was. I
Ugh.
I don't think she has chemistry with Cameron Matheson. And I actually even Vic Webster, she had great chemistry in the Wedding Trilogy series, but I don't think she has great chemistry with him here. And so I'm like, why don't they just put her with Norman and be done with it?
Take notes, Hallmark. Take notes. Erinbeth, I know how huge an Allison fan you are because you really wanted to be on this panel. So if you could star as one of the characters that she has played in her movies, which character or movie would that be?
Oh, the Chronicle Mysteries for sure. Because the Chronicle Mysteries finally, it was somebody that should be investigating things. I love her character. She's changing careers. She's figuring out what she wants to do in life. Her character itself is very endearing to me. That she was in this place in life where she was learning to do something new. Sometimes things change, and you may be in the middle of your life and have to make those changes.
Wow, that is a very well thought out and thoughtful reason for a Hallmark movie about a podcaster who solves mysteries. But anyway, good luck today. You can sit back.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to now introduce the next panelist. This is her second appearance on HMD. She won the Victor Webster draft in June. So she's already eligible for the Tournament of Champions this year. But if she wins this match, she's just cutting down her competition in the overall field. So please welcome back my friend who taught me all about bumpets. Jenna, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you.
You're not wearing a bumpet.
I'm not wearing a bumpet. There's too much hair teasing involved in the bumpet wear. So I do have to run errands after this. So I didn't think that would be the best thing to go out in public and go to Target later with a bumpet in my hair or the hair still teased with a bumpet out of it. So not like the best thing. You got to love a good bumpet.
Jenna, I know you're a big mystery fan. Who do you
Mhm.
think is the better amateur sleuth? Allison's Hannah Swenson character or her Chronicles character, Alex McPherson?
Chronicle, Alex. I think part of it, though, for me is that I've read all the books that the Hannah Swenson is based off of, and Chronicle isn't based off of books. Everything Aaron Beth has just said about like why she want to be that character, it is true. With Hannah Swenson, I'm like in my head, I'm comparing it to the books, and I know what's happening in the books and what's happened since. And I just think that Chronicle, I just really like her character. Like it's just not. She's working at a bakery, and all of a sudden she like stumbles into something. So
You are coming into this match with an unused leftover veto from the Victor Webster match. So good luck today in the trivia round because it could be a game changer for you.
thank you.
Right? All right. Last but not least, our third panelist is making her first appearance on HMD. This draft has been a year in the making, so she's been super patient, only to have to cram in Allison's two newest movies in the last, what, 2 weeks or so, and then the last 72 hours. We're actually recording this in October. I'm very excited to have Danielle to finally be drafting. We all know her by her nickname, Happy. and it suits her. Welcome to Hallmark Movie Drafts, Happy.
Thanks so much, Lynn. Happy to be here. Pun intended.
Are you ready to do this? Was it hard for you to pick together your final top 10 list?
It really was. I've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, and it is easy for me as a listener to be super judgy about other people's drafts. But good heavens, it is so hard to rank them because just two movies in, I was like, what even makes a good movie? And I had this whole existential crisis about how subjective it is. And as I said in my email when I sent you my top 10, I'm questioning all of it now.
It's
We'll
going to
see
be
if I actually play them.
exactly. Anything can happen. One of the things that I love about you is the photos that you take when you're out walking in the area that you live in, but also your travel photos. And I think that you were just recently in Prague.
It was.
What was it like? Tell us about Prague and that experience.
It is an absolutely beautiful city, very walkable. I probably did 5 to 7 miles a day the whole time that I was there. I actually was there on a research trip. I am writing my first novel, and it's historical fiction about the life of good King Wenceslas, who did actually live and had a pretty epic life. So, yeah, I was there to see where he lived and find out what color the trees were and how the cobblestones feel under your feet and all of that. It was absolutely delightful.
This is fantastic news. Yes, I have not been to Prague. I've been to several other European cities, but I think that there's a statue. Isn't there a statue of Wenceslas?
There are several,
It's something like that. And
but there is a very iconic one in Wenceslas Square where he is riding his horse, and it's just a central meeting place. It's right in the center of town. But yeah, it's beautiful. I did have the best bowl of potato soup I've ever had in my life at the Wenceslas Cafe and Restaurant. So if you listeners are in Prague, definitely stop there for lunch.
Great insider's tip. In addition to the novel that you're working on, you've also written like a holiday guide before, like a holiday movie guide on your blog, Simple Felicity. Is there another one coming out?
There is. I have already started it. I will not be publishing until probably the second week of November because no one's going to read it before then anyway. I have started watching holiday movies and I'm super excited to get that out.
So what's the URL for your blog so that the listeners have it, and I'll drop it in the show notes as well.
It's just simplefelicity.net.
Awesome. Definitely we'll check it out and keep us posted on your novel progress because we're excited for you. Let's start shifting into gameplay mode. If it's your first time listening, you can pause here and listen to the Hallmark Movie Drafts intro show first. That's where I go over the rules in more depth. I talk about the format of the game, how these vetoes work, or just keep listening and I'm sure you'll pick it up. Eligibility. It is so much more straightforward than last month's Food Forward draft. Don't even get me started on that list. Alison has been in 30 Hallmark movies as of this recording, but only 27 are eligible. That's because she has to be the lead and the A storyline has to focus on her character. So even though there are 5 Wedding Veil movies, only the Wedding Veil Journey and the Wedding Veil Legacy are eligible. All of the movies had to premiere on a Hallmark analog channel or Hallmark's streaming platform. So it's very straightforward. For drafting positions, there's going to be 3 of them, A, B, and C. Drafter C picks positions 10, 7, and 3 on the list. They get 1 veto card and 1 veto override card. Drafter B picks positions 9, 6, 4, and 2 on the list. Drafter B gets only 1 veto card because this position gets 4 picks instead of 3, so they get more chances to get movies from their personal list onto the final list. And Drafter A picks positions 8, 5, and the number 1 position on the list. So this position picks the number 1 movie and they get 2 vetoes. And remember, as I said, Jenna has 1 leftover veto to use here in addition to whatever vetoes come with her drafting position. So how do we decide who gets to be drafter A, B, or C? That's where Alicia comes in, as she's been filing her nails all these past couple of months, coming up with some trivia questions to try to stump the panel in. She's going to test their knowledge with questions related to these eligible movies. The first person to answer one movie correct gets to choose whether they want to be drafter A, B, or C. The second person to answer the next question correctly chooses from the remaining two positions, and the third person gets whatever is left over. Just remember, if you win the trivia round, you're also first up in the veto orders. Okay, Alicia, I have talked nonstop. It's your turn. Please go over the trivia rules and then get started on the veto round. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, there are 3 rules to the trivia round. Don't raise your Zoom hand until I finish reading a question. I'll call on the first person to raise their hand. Number 2, when I call on you, you must state your answer right away. No delays or your answer will not count. And number 3, if no one knows the correct answer, I'll just move on to another question. Clues will not be given. And those are the rules. Anybody have a question? No? All right. Get your Zoom hands ready. In The Wedding Veil Legacy, Victor Webster stars as a chef opposite Allison. His new restaurant is a fusion of what 2 cuisines? Jenna.
Asian and Italian.
Yay.
It's like lightning hand.
Do
All
that
right.
one.
All right, Jenna, you can sit back and think about what you want to pick.
The second question, in Love on the Air, Allison and Jonathan Scarf play bickering DJs. What is Allison's signature advice that she gives her audience? Erinbeth.
Be an island.
Yep. Yay.
That was amazing. And listeners, I just want you to know, Happy had her hand up. They were like dueling it out very quickly. So good for you both. Alicia, those were some really great questions. I know that you came up with a lot more than those. I'll post them as the trivia on the Instagrams. Jenna, would you like to be drafter A, B, or C?
I had to do my whole phone flip thing I did the last time. It ended up B.
B. All right. So Jenna is going to have picks 9, 6, 4, and 2. Drafter B gets 1 veto, but Jenna also has a leftover veto. So she will have 2 vetoes to use. Erinbeth, that leaves you with drafter C or drafter A. Which one do you want?
Please. Oh,
Which one?
A, please. A.
A. A. Erinbeth has chosen A. She will get picks 8, 5, and 1. She wants that number 1 position. And she gets 2 vetoes. And that leaves Happy. Happy, they always seem to do this to the first-time drafter, saying, go ahead, pick the number 10, start this list off, set that tone. Happy will be drafter C. She'll get picks 10, 7, and 3. She'll have 1 veto, and she also gets a veto override. Happy, are you ready to do this? Do you have a number 10 movie in mind?
I do.
Okay, tell us what it is.
At number 10, I would like to slot Christmas at Holly Lodge.
This is a movie from 2022. Allison plays Sophie. Jordan Bridges is Evan. Cheryl Lee Ralph is in this as well. Sophie runs Holly Lodge, a beautiful inn surrounded by snowy mountains, evergreen trees, and scenic views. There are regular patrons who visit the lodge every Christmas, but Sophie's behind on her mortgage payments, and a development company has taken an interest in the land. They send Evan to study the property, but before he makes his true intentions known to Sophie, the property is sold. The two start falling for each other. And just note, Jordan Bridges is in some of my favorite fake relationship tropes. He's a great actor. He's totally hilarious. And Yankee Crystal Lowe, of course, is Rita from the Signed Sealed movies and series. She's in this as well. Tell us why you like this movie for number 10, Happy.
I am a sucker for a Christmas movie set in an inn. I'm actually going to an inn for Christmas this year because that's just my personal trope. I wanted to make sure this movie got in because I was afraid it might not. So I'm actually pretty glad that I had a chance to slot it in. This movie It's everything you want in a Christmas movie. It's delightful decorations. There's snow that at least appears real. I don't know if it is. I didn't look it up. There's the classic misunderstanding, but it's not over dramatic. It's just we needed to clear that up, and they're able to do it in a kind way. The other thing that I really love about this movie is the sense of chosen family. Um, the plot includes a number of guests that come back every single year who know each other really well, who are invested in each other's lives. And that is something that I think gets a little bit overlooked. Family is very much a part of holiday celebrations, no matter who you are or what you celebrate. But not all of us have that opportunity, and chosen family means a lot. So I'm glad that it is celebrated in this movie.
I love that you brought up the chosen family element of this because it is something that makes this movie so special. I was actually a hotel general manager as my first job out of college. One of the hotels that I managed was an inn at a ski resort up in New Hampshire where people would come back every year for the Christmas and Hanukkah holidays because it was family tradition to go skiing for that week that they were taken off. I'll ask you off air where you're going for Christmas. I won't put you on the spot here, but I challenge Jenna to veto this at number 10 after that passionate pitch that Happy made. What do you think of Christmas at Holly Lodge at number 10, Jenna?
I'm not going to veto it. I really like this one. It was one that I was hoping would get on the list for the same type of things. It was very Christmassy. I like the whole chosen family thing Happy brought up because I spend my Christmas with my friends. So that kind of hit pretty good. I like that they didn't, like, she found out right away of what was happening and she did some silly things, but yet from his standpoint, he changed his mind almost right away of what he wanted to do and what the end goal was going to be. That trope, it was a trope, but not 100% trope it normally is in that aspect. And then just the supporting cast. You have the good B couple with Vince and with Callie, and then just like the families and stuff. And Shirley Ralph sings Joy to the World at the end. Come on. It was like a good thing for her. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, like all of a sudden she starts singing or whatever. But if you, from the progression of her character, you saw, and then she got to that point where she was like, wanted to sing. So I really liked it.
I love it. I'm glad that you brought up the singing because, as I've said, I think I divulged this in the food forward draft. There is going to be a Don't Make Me Sing draft coming your way
Oh gosh.
in 2026, but it's going to be about where one of the leads has to actually sing in the movie, not just like sing the title song outside of that element. And they do have to be in the lead cast. I have one more slot open. I've already had two people say, I want in, I want in. So we have that going on. Erinbeth, it's up to you. Are you going to crush Happy's dreams on her very first pick ever in the history of Hallmark movie drafts? Because she'll be back again. I don't remember when, but I know that you're slotted. I think it's like in 2025 or something. What do you think of Christmas at Holly Lodge, Erinbeth?
Oh, Happy. You have broken my heart. This is one of my favorite, favorite movies. And playing it at number 10, where there is no way I will use a veto, is just absolutely breaking my heart. This is one of you had no concern, I don't think, that it would not show up. I think this is one of everyone's favorite Alison Sweeney movies. I was in the car with it playing, not watching it, but with it playing. So as I was going through, and when Cheryl Lee Ralph starts singing, I cried like I cry every single time. I love this movie. It doesn't deserve a number 10 slot, but I'm not going to use a veto on it. So it's going to have to stay there. It doesn't deserve it, but I'm not going to veto it.
Congratulations, Happy. Your very first pick ever has made it onto the list, exactly where you've played it at number 10. So, Jenna, that goes over to you for the number 9 pick. What are you thinking?
I'm going to go with Time for You to Come Home.
People either love or strongly dislike these Time for You to Come Home movies with whatever pronoun is being used at the time. So, this one is from 2019. Lucas Bryant is in it as Jack. Alison Sweeney is Catherine. She's a recent widow and she travels with her son to Virginia to go home for Christmas. And on the way, they meet a veteran who's on his own holiday journey and he's heading in the same direction. And they continue to spend time together. There's a lot happening in this movie. I don't get to play here, but Lucas Bryant, as I said, is in this and he just starred in The Real West that just aired a couple of weeks ago. Smoking hot guy, and boy, can he sing. Yeah, number 9. What did you like about this movie?
First, I think they had really good chemistry. And yes, all these Blake Shelton theme movies, most of them are hard to sit through, some of them, but this one I liked. I didn't like it at first, so it took me a few watches. And again, this is a few years old, so I've seen it more than once, but watching it for the draft, I just like to focus in on it. I just really liked it. You had the couple quote unquote tropes on it, but they weren't like her husband wasn't killed while serving. He was killed in a car accident at home. He had this watch that he was trying to find the person that saved him. It wasn't like he was involved with the spouse overseas or in the army or in whatever service. They took a couple twists on that. And I just liked like how she like her relationship with her son and the family. And again, it was another good supporting cast and things like with her mom with the bakery and having to give it up. And even though you knew that she was going to take it over, it was very Christmassy. And seeing like him with her son, I just thought it was like good relationships all around.
Erinbeth, do you agree that this should be number 9 on the list?
It is my second favorite pronoun movie of all of them. I do Lacey Chabert's better, but this is my second favorite. It's not in my top 10, but honestly, there's very few points separating 1 and 27. So I just love everything she does. So I am fine with this one at number 9. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt my feelings to have it at number 9 because it still is. It's a good movie and it has all the feels. So.
Yeah, you are like a panelist nightmare. I just love everything. You're going to have your veto forever and ever, I suspect. Happy, does this movie hurt your feelings at number 9? Do you like this movie at number 9?
It doesn't hurt my feelings. I was actually thinking about it this afternoon. I'm a born procrastinator, so I actually watched this morning. I've seen all 27 of these movies in the past 27 days. I was thinking about it though afterwards, and I think if it had a different title and not had that Blake Shelton song in it, I would have liked it a lot better than I do. I was like predisposed to dislike it because there are just too many of them. But I do Lucas Bryant a lot. I thought that the chemistry between them was natural. So yeah, it's fine. I figured somebody was going to pick it. And I'm not opposed to having a Christmas movie make the top 10, even if it wasn't in my 10.
Jenna, you managed to get a pronoun movie onto a final list. I think that might be a first for Hallmark movie drafts. I'll have to go back and check, but I think that might be a
have
first.
to agree with you. Yeah, you'll have to check, but yeah.
Big hero move for you. Congratulations. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and Brian Harold in the Food Forward draft getting the Love Clubs.
Oh, Love Clubs. Sydney. Yes.
I believe he did that.
You can't, Brian? You can't believe he did that?
Okay, Brian, yes.
I don't know. I think you might just be up there with him with this pick. I'm not shaming your pick. I'm very much impressed and I applaud that you managed to do this. All right, Erinbeth, you have the number 8 pick. What are you going to offer up knowing that you loved all 27 of these?
I did have some that I'm more passionate about. So we may see me try to take the gloves off after 5, but I am going to go with Chronicle Mysteries Recovered.
That one's from 2019. Alison is Alex, the podcaster sleuth. Ben Ayers is her co-star in this series. We all just love Ben Ayers. He does so much good for so many people with his Romance University merch. He plays Drew, and this has Alex returning to the small town in Pennsylvania where she spent her summers as a girl to record the next episode of her true crime podcast about the disappearance of a childhood friend 20 years prior. Erinbeth, tell us why you love this movie at number 8, please.
I already talked about the fact that I love the Chronicle Mysteries because she should be investigating. She didn't stumble upon a dead body. Like these mysteries make more sense and just to keep having them. But I really enjoyed that she finds her friend alive and her friend gets to come back and rejoin life by solving the mystery. I love the little puppy Hurst in it. He's just so adorable and he's in it several times in this movie and I love it. I felt like of all the movies, her and Benjamin had the best chemistry in this one of all the Chronicle mysteries. They dance around it a lot in the other ones, but this one I just really felt like their characters really matched together well. There were a lot of red herrings that were fun to follow. So that is why I am doing Chronicle Mysteries Recover today.
And I think that's a really great reasonings. Before I ask Jenna if she wants to veto this pick or not, I want to apologize again to your dog Hamilton, who I referred to as a Chihuahua. And evidently he is not a Chihuahua. I thought he was, but what is he again?
Boston Terrier.
Has he forgiven me yet?
Send him a treat and he'll forget it all happened.
Good to know.
It is a term as a Boston Terrier owner, and I'm sure anyone that has them or Frenchies, they get mistaken all the time for each other's. We talked it over. He's over it.
I'm glad.
No.
All right, Jenna, what do you think you're going to do here with Chronicle Mysteries Recovered at number 8? Do you like it in this position? Do you want it off the list? What do you think?
I'm not going to veto it. As we talked about earlier, like Erinbeth, I love everything that she's been in. So it's very hard to get through things. And as you said too, I'm a big mystery person. Honestly, love all 5 Chronicle, like where it's hit or miss with the bakery ones. I still like them, but it's hard to sometimes choose between the Chronicle. But I liked Recovered. It was the first one of it. So you got the good introduction. They have really good chemistry between them. And just to set the story, and one of my favorite things was like, she kept her identity kind of secret for a little bit of it and didn't say she was the niece. And then to see his reaction, it has a lot of zany characters, and a lot of the other little side actors have been in other movies for her that we saw too. So I just thought it was like a really good first mystery.
All right, Happy, what do you think? Are you a mystery fan overall?
I am actually, and I loved the Chronicle Mysteries. None of them made my top 10 list, and it wasn't because I didn't like them. It's because there were others that I liked more. Same as Jenna, it's hard to pick which one I like better. I think maybe it would have been The Deep End. Anyway, they're all great. She and Ben have great chemistry, and I love the way the series just tracks that all the way through. They don't rush into anything, which sometimes in just like a one movie installment, like it just feels a little rushed. They take their time and they're good friends and the banter is great. In the 5th one, there was this great quote about quinoa. I actually wrote it down. Let me see if I can find it because it was so great.
I love quinoa.
Yeah, no, I do too, but
No,
it was something to the effect of like it's rice without the courage of its convictions. And it just made me laugh.
Oh, with the daughter when she got him a salad.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I don't hate this at number 8.
Perfect. It'll stay right there. And guess what, Happy? That means you're back up at number 7. We are flying through this list, you guys. You're so copacetic. It's amazing. And I love it. Could this be the first ever Hallmark movie drafts where no vetoes are thrown? I don't know. All right, Happy, lay it on us. What are you going to offer up for number 7?
I don't know. This one might be it, but I'm gonna go with Love and Jane.
Okay, it's from 2024. Alison Sweeney is Lily. Ben Ayers is Trevor. Lily is a hopeless romantic and a literary enthusiast who's surprised when her wish to talk to her favorite author comes true, and Jane Austen herself appears in her life. I love this movie. Why did you choose this one for number 7, Happy?
Again, I think that Allison and Ben Ayres have great chemistry together. That's definitely evident in this movie. Also, Jane Austen is hilarious in this movie. Her interactions with Hallmark's version of Alexa are great. Her advice, there's being so focused on cattle, it just makes me laugh. And I'm like, what's our equivalent? We probably have one. But yeah, like the entire supporting cast is fantastic. I love it that there is a trucker who is obsessed with Jane Austen. That was such an unorthodox pick for Hallmark, and it was great.
I'm a big Jane Austen fan overall, so I was
Same.
thrilled to see this sort of time travelers movie trope appear with her in it. Jenna, what did you think of Love and Jane? Do you think this belongs on the list at number 7?
It was on my list and I took it off yesterday when I was trying to go through things because
When you were listening to Taylor Swift? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
when I was yeah, I love a grainy live stream. The reason I ended up taking it off was because to me they don't spend a lot of time together in the movie. There's a lot of other stuff going on. She has the dumb boyfriend in the beginning, which thank God she said no to. So you had the friend and the friend's romances, like the B storyline there. And then like with Jane, so it was, to me, she spent more time with Jane in the movie than she did with Ben. And they had incredible chemistry. And there was a line in it towards the end, like when they're going to get together and they're about to kiss. And they said something like, I've been wanting to do this for a long time and I've been waiting to do this for a long time. And it made me laugh because it made me think of Chronicle. Because in none of the 5 movies in Chronicle, they kissed. And to me, it was, we're finally doing this, right? So it was like a thing from the Chronicle. And she talks to herself a lot. It's like one of those movies where how does anyone notice that you're talking to air when someone saw her talking to nobody? But oh gosh, I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna veto it.
So, listeners, the I'm gonna let it go comes with a great scrunchy face. Jenna, she's holding her head like she's in pain. Before I ask Erinbeth what she thinks, Alicia, do you have any thoughts on this movie?
Yes, I'm very opinionated because Jane Austen is my favorite author. I'm a member of the Jane Austen Society of North America. I'm in a Jane Austen reading group. So
What?
yeah, and
Wait, hold
I've been
up.
trying to pitch a Jane Austen movie, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah.
There's a Jane, what was that? There's a Jane Austen of North America. What was that group?
Yeah, Jasna. And actually, I haven't watched all of the Jane Austen movies from February. That was Jane Austen month, but I believe one of them takes place at a conference that is like the Jasna annual meeting that just happened actually last week. I didn't go to it. There's an annual gathering. It's Jasna, Jane Austen Society of North America.
The Secret Life of Alicia here revealed. Who knew? I had no idea there was such a club. I love that. I totally
Yeah.
love that.
So
Awesome.
I liked it. Jane, I haven't read all of Jane Austen's letters, and in fact, her sister Cassandra burned or destroyed a lot of Jane Austen's actual letters, and we're not really sure why she did it. Was it to protect her? Were there things in there? And there's actually it's going to be on PBS, I think. I don't know if it's going to be this Christmas time. Uh, an adaptation of a book. This is why she would have done that. But anyway, so not a whole lot of Jane's letters survive, but she was so funny, so witty in her letters. So that tracks. But I was, at least when the Jane Austen in this movie like pops up, I'm like, why did she care about tea and dancing? Why was that her first bit of advice? It just seemed odd to me. And then one thing that I thought, the bar owner, I think his name was, and I was looking it up, his last name was Whitcomb. And I was like, this is really close to Wickham, the dastardly character in Pride and Prejudice. I can see naming a character like with last name of Wickham, but why this character? And if it has nothing to do with Pride and Prejudice, I just thought that was a very odd thing to have in this movie. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I loved that they did a whole month of Jane Austen.
Yeah, I did. I did too. And actually, Jenna, I was thinking that whole dialogue between Allison and Ben Eyre in Love and Jane was maybe just a little bit of a insider fan favorite Easter egg throwback to Chronicles because we were all just like waiting, watching, hoping, and they did drag it on. Okay, Aaron
Exactly.
Beth, I've given you a ton of time to think whether or not you might actually ever throw a veto, or are you going to keep Love and Jane at number 7 on this list?
First, I want to say to Alicia, the fact that you think that in a Hallmark movie that is based on something anywhere close to Jane Austen is going to make any sense makes me laugh.
That is my
so
fear
much.
with pitching a retelling of one of the novels. I really want to do it. I really like my take on it, but then I'm concerned. Yeah, just if you've watched
Yeah.
Sensibility and Snowmen, you know that it's nothing like the
It's the
book. So
title.
that's my
That's about
concern.
it.
Yeah.
But in regards to Love and Jane, whether Jane Austen has truly come into the world to give her love advice, or she's just purely having a mental breakdown, I am willing to jump on that train because this was a great ride. I loved this movie. I really did. It's not in the upper part of my top 10 list, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. Allison was great in it. Benjamin Ayres was great in it. The background characters, which to me is so important in a Hallmark movie, because a lot of times those background characters will make or break a movie. And they were so good. They played their parts exactly as they needed to. It can stay at 7. It's a great movie.
Okay, so happy. Congratulations. Love and Jane is locked in at number 7. I'm going to do a quick state of the list. At 10, we have Christmas at Holly Lodge. At 9, Time for You to Come Home for Christmas. At 8, Chronicle Mysteries Recovered. At 7, Love and Jane. And at number 6, Jenna is going to offer up which movie?
I'm going to go with Second Chances / Hearts on Fire.
This one is from 2013. It's an oldie but a goodie. Alison Sweeney is Jenny. Craig Vaughn is Jeff. Ed Asner makes an appearance in this movie as well. Jenny is a single mom working at a 911 call center, and she's raising 2 kids. But she can't help but flirt when she gets emergency calls from Jeff, a local firefighter she nicknames Cowboy. But when she gets a call that Jeff has been hurt in a fire, she's determined to finally meet him face to face. With a broken leg, Jeff needs a first floor apartment where he can recover. At the same time, Jenny is looking to rent out her guest room. Wow, what a coincidence. Brought together by the unusual circumstances, Jeff soon moves in and becomes part of the family, and Jenny is reluctantly falling for him. This storyline on its own is like a Lifetime movie to me, people. Just got to put that out there. There is so much stranger danger in this plot line, but somehow Hallmark makes it work. So go on. If you're a single mom raising kids, invite a stranger to come and live with you. Jenna, what the heck are you thinking putting this movie at number 6?
I'm going to be honest. I never watched this movie until this draft because I have been watching Days of Our Lives since I was little. And I grew up, that's my love of Allie has started. So as you can see from my background, I have some her and Lucas stages. But Greg Vaughn plays her brother on Days. And so I was always like, I can't watch this movie. I can't watch it because to me, like for years, I've seen them as siblings. But I had to watch it for the draft. And the stupid movie sucked me in because like it... Okay, it's 2013. She had cute bangs. She really doesn't have bangs in many other movies. I'm gonna put that out there. I guess about my hair with me for these drafts. But like the kids are adorable. The kids were really good. The kids had a good storyline. They had a good heart coming from wanting to read with the people in the assisted living place. You know, my grandma's 101 and in one of those places, and they never get visitors. For me, that storyline got me there. Like him being a fireman and like the pranks that they did with them. It was a good progression. I thought I had to mentally block myself out of from Days of Our Lives, but you saw them flirt in the beginning and on the phone, and then like it was just through it. And yes, there's a lot of wait what's in this. A lot of wait what's, but I just thought it was. I liked it. I really did. I honestly did not think I was gonna like it.
I need a break.
I'm sorry. I if you would have asked me prior to October 1st, if I would have said no way in heck would I have done this. But I even looked up on some of the old Hallmark pages and stuff, and it's one of people's favorite movies. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll give it a chance. But I did. I liked it. Once I
Yeah.
got past the blocking that they were siblings on Days of Our Lives forever.
That's a hard one.
And still are.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. That was a roller coaster. Second chances. Jenna's a fan. We got firefighters. We've got siblings who are not siblings in this movie kissing each other. Erinbeth, you're holding your head. What do you think of this movie at number 6? And just in Jenna's defense, I know that this movie is super, super popular with people. It was one of a really popular one in that like 2012, 2013 era when Hallmark was doing out of the box things. They weren't so cookie cutter formulaic with it. Erin Beth, what are you thinking about this movie? You look very pensive. You going to keep this? Or are you going to veto?
I am usually all for their first Hallmark movie being on the list because I always feel like that is their place into Hallmark. But I literally wrote, cracks me up. What is going on with her bangs? Not in a good way, Jenna. I have it in my notes.
She
I
kept
have
playing with them. Maybe it was that.
I have very old school Hallmark, which it is. Aggressive background musical track. Very slow. The very last thing I have read down is only veto if in the top 5. This is not a good movie. It is a really bad movie. It is so slow. The kids are terrible. I cannot have this on this list. I cannot. I'm vetoing it.
You can veto it, but it doesn't mean
I know.
that it won't come back up. Happy, you have a veto override. Do you want to override Erin Beth's veto? Or do you want to keep this movie off the list at number 6 and see if Jenna plays it again higher?
No, I'm not going to waste my veto override on this because there are movies I care more about that I might need it for later. However, this was number 2 on my list. So I just want to be sure it stays on the list, and I can't. And so there's my dilemma.
Erin Beth has vetoed it, right? So anyone else can play it again higher up on the list. It just can't stay at number 6.
Right.
So you could play it at
yes,
what do
I
you have?
could.
You
But
could play
then
it at number 3.
all the other movies I care about. This is
Yeah.
hard. This is hard. But I'm not going to waste my override on it.
You sure? Your
Yeah.
override would at least guarantee that it stays on the list.
Yeah, no, I know. But there are other movies that are more important to me that I might want to fight for later.
Okay.
But I don't know what y'all are talking about. This was a great movie.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So Second Chances has been vetoed by Erin Beth at number 6. Jenna, what is your replacement pick for number 6? And keep in mind, you can play it again higher up on the list. It just can't stay at number 6. So what movie title are you going to play instead?
First, the funny thing is I took Love and Jane off and put this one on because I thought people would like it. So let me just preface that by saying that. I really did like this movie. It wasn't like a gameplay thing at all. Anyways, I'm going to go with Mystery Sprinkle of Deceit, the newest Hannah Swenson.
It's from 2024. Alison Sweeney is Hannah, of course. Vic Webster is Chad. Barbara Niven plays Hannah's mom. This just premiered earlier this month in October. Hannah and Chad flirt with their own paths to solve the same murder while working to clear a colleague who is implicated in the crime. And meanwhile, Dolores, that's Hannah's mom, gets her big break. And I just want to say that Barbara Niven really deserves better. I love her. I just hate how bossy and pushy her mom is in this. Why do you love A Sprinkle of Deceit at number 6?
So I really feel like there should be one movie of the Hannah Swenson or Murder She Baked on here. And this is my favorite out of all of them. But and to your point with Dolores, is that crazy in the books? If you're the book reader, that's just how her mom is. And they do take liberty with the storylines and stuff. The Chad character doesn't exist in the books. So like this one is his second movie. So like the first one, the Apple one, where you were introduced, they really didn't have that much time together. And this one, they had a little bit more. There's more flirting going on. All three sisters were in the movie, essentially the whole movie, which they've been in and out the last couple, like the three of them. So it was nice to have all three together. It was fun to see Andrea being like that person with the mom, with her crazy, and enable her mom in a little bit, in a little way. And Michelle is more the serious one, so she's more like a Hannah in that way. I thought the mystery was good. I totally thought it was going to be somebody, the husband, and not the person that did it. So it did keep me going on it. They had different storylines going, and then you learned a little bit more about Lonnie, and he was brought in a few movies ago, and he's paired with Michelle. So it's like more of a character growth on him too. It's my favorite right now out of all of them, but maybe because it's more fresh in my mind. But yeah.
I've never read any of the books, but for some reason, I like her more with Vic Webster than I did with in the Murder She Baked series with Cameron. Sure. So Erinbeth, you still have a veto. You could whack Jenna again if you so choose to. But what do you? I have a feeling you won't, but who knows? What do you think of A Sprinkle of Deceit?
I have no veto notes on this.
Thank goodness.
And I will tell you honestly, Second Chances was the only one I made veto notes on. But I think, I know this is an Alison Sweeney draft, but I think that we have to take a moment to talk about Ashley Williams, and that cameo was so
Yes.
fantastic. I laughed so hard. It was great. I agree with you. They had me till the end. I picked the wrong person, and normally I'm really good at knowing who it was. I also picked the husband. Yeah, I liked this movie. I thought it was good. They did a lot of things right in this one. So I do think it's a good one.
Okay.
It can stay.
Erinbeth says it can stay. Happy, do you say that it can stay A Sprinkle of Deceit?
I do. Yeah. I had this a little lower on my list, but of the Hannah Swenson movies, I do think this one's the best. Yeah. I think she and Vic Webster have great chemistry. And it's fun that they're not dancing around it. The fact that her family's encouraging it just makes it super fun.
I love the sister element to this. I
For
think that was
sure.
really nice to bring in some great supporting cast. It's a good ensemble cast. Okay, so that brings us to number 5. And Erinbeth, that is your turn. What are you thinking would be the perfect movie to be on this list at number 5?
I am struggling because I have two, but I have three more movies left and only two rankings left. I have to decide which one I think.
Do you need DoorDash?
I may need a DoorDash an answer to this one. You know what? I always judge the panelists when they're sitting there doing that. Not judge in a bad way, but I'm like, come on, how hard could it possibly be? Just pick an answer. But it is really hard when you're down to the end and you're like, oh my
it's in a
gosh.
bad way, listeners. It's in a bad way, listeners. You
Not
should
a
hear
bad
what she
way.
says off mic after the show. Oh my God.
I do a lot of what the heck were they thinking, but I say that on air too. So.
All right. What's your movie?
Okay. This time each year, the brand new one.
This time each year, it aired literally 72 hours ago before this recording. It's with Niall Matters. Allison is Lauren. Niall is Kevin. This movie was actually directed by Jan K. Crystal Lowe, Rita in Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. Kevin and Lauren are a married couple who still seem to be in love, but they've been separated for nearly a year while co-parenting their young son, Charlie. Kevin wants a reconciliation, and he's celebrating nearly 1 year of sobriety. Lauren's mother is visiting for the holidays, and Lauren admits she hasn't told her mother that they're separated yet. So they decide to pretend that they're still together, which could spark a renewed romance. This is a great ensemble cast. Victor Zink Jr. plays Niall's brother. There's Laura Soltis, Colleen Wheeler, and Charlie is played by Ezra Wilson, who was in a few episodes of Virgin River, if anybody watches that series. And of course, you've got Niall in this as well. Erinbeth, why do you like this movie at number 5?
And it's not Niall that made me pick this movie, although it could be potential, as I really do love him. But this movie was real. Like, I just felt the realness of it. Most of the time when I'm watching Hallmark movies, I am doing other things. I'm sewing, I'm crocheting, I'm just, there's always something else going. I literally watched this movie and cried through this whole movie. Like it was so powerful. Anyone who listens knows I have a ranking. I score several different categories, and one of them is Will You Watch Again? And even with scoring this as I will never watch this again because it was just a hard watch, it's still above 5 on my list. Alison is fantastic. Her acting is great. Niall is on point. Again, the background characters did exactly what they need to. That brother, loved him. It was everything. She wasn't perfect. He wasn't perfect. They were both at fault. It was real. So that's why I think this is good for number 5.
Well said. But what does Jenna think? What do you think of this movie for number 5?
I actually watched it yesterday. I was watching a grainy live stream of Taylor on Friday night or Thursday night. No, what was I doing? Anyways, I liked it. It was actually higher on my list. I just feel like the top 5, my top 5 is very not interchangeable, but almost interchangeable. I think that there's like a chunk of movies that are just, to me, they completely stand out from the other ones. This was very real. Going into it, one of the reasons I didn't watch it live was because I didn't know if I was going to like it based on the premise that they did the commercials, right? I thought it was going to be sad. I thought it was going to be, I'm like, I'm going to have to be in the right frame of mind to watch this. I thought it was going to be sad because of the subject. And I hate a lying trope. I really do. It's one of my ones I hate. But it was so good. I watched it twice, and as Erinbeth said, it was real. Like, their kiss mid-movie or even in the beginning part of the movie was just on fire. They had really good chemistry. Like the scene of them dancing together at the end was just, again, it was just on fire. I think that's the first time they've ever been together in a movie, and I thought it was a really good one for both of them. So I'm not going to veto it. So
I think Niall Matter is one of the All Stars that knows how to kiss. He's
He
not
knows.
like
Oh, he knows.
the guppy kisser. Alicia, you're shaking your head, yes, but before I ask Happy if she's going to veto this, what did you think of this movie?
I really liked it. And speaking of Niall, I haven't watched all of his stuff, but I feel like once Rip in Time came out, I felt like that he really took it up another level in his acting and his just, yeah. So I really liked him in this. I wish they had mentioned alcoholism or whatever. I felt like they just kept talking about he lost his license, he lost his license. Why did he lose his license? I think we all know, but I wish they had taken it like one step further and talked about that because it was just a bunch of dancing around. Yeah, the only negative, I had it pretty high on my list. I really liked it. Like I liked it for everything that everyone has mentioned. But as my second most hated Hallmark trope, which is kissing in front of an audience or family, and then everybody like claps. I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm not like a prude or anything. I like romantic comedies. I like watching people on the screen kiss. I do not want to see anybody I know kiss. Like, I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't like it. And I don't know who does. Yeah.
Happy, clearly Alicia is a romantic. She's just not a voyeur. How about you? What do you think of this movie at number 5? People kissing in front of people included.
They know. People kissing in front of people they know.
Granted.
I agree. It's a little awkward to have your family cheering out the windows of the minivan. Just go home. You dropped him off. That's enough. You can leave now. But yeah, no, this movie was wonderful. I really liked it a lot. These are believable characters. They could live next door or across the street. This is a real life story. These things happen. People buy money pits all the time, and that is really hard on your finances and on your relationships. It's just a lot. And you throw a good lie in there, and it's all, of course, it blew up. Of course, it did. But I think their characters are very mature in the way that they handle it. I think the fact that they are going to counseling and actually telling the truth in those sessions is very meaningful. And I think that can speak to a lot of people So yeah, this movie was great. And I loved their house and I loved the way they decorated it. I think I forget what it's called, but that Japanese art form where something breaks and you glue it together with gold. That was very unexpected, but it was so perfect. It was absolutely beautiful. And I loved
Had
that.
that in an early draft of Perfect Harmony and it kept getting pushed out, and I'm so bummed and I'm like jealous that they got it in.
It was a really
There.
beautiful moment.
All right, so we've got number 5 is locked in. So let me do a quick state of the list. It's 10, Christmas at Holly Lodge. At 9, Time for You to Come Home for Christmas. At 8, Chronicle Mysteries Recovered. At 7, Love and Jane. At 6, A Sprinkle of Deceit, a Hannah Swenson mystery. At 5, Erinbeth Played This Time Each Year. And at number 4, what will Jenna offer up? Because we are getting to where the gloves might come off. I don't know. You're still pretty copacetic, I think. What are you thinking, Jenna?
I'm going to go with The First Wedding Veil Legacy.
That's from 2022. Allison is Tracy, Vic Webster is Nick, Lacey Chabert and Autumn Reeser are of course in this, but they're not in the A storyline at all. Tracy is the last of the 3 friends to take possession of the veil. Tracy is skeptical of love and the veil when she meets Nick, a restaurateur. Nick helps Tracy save an original draft of the new Colossus in exchange for her helping him run his restaurant. Tracy begins to feel uneasy as they get closer. Will the veil prove to be magical for her despite her cynicism about its legend? And this movie was actually ranked number 5 in the Vic Webster edition top 10 list, the final list, just a couple of months ago in June. And Jenna, you were one of the drafters on that panel, along with Elizabeth and Erin. So here, I don't remember if you played this one or not, but here you are getting ready to talk about this movie on this list. Tell us why you love it.
Yes, I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched the other ones really. And I only watched these because of the Vic Webster draft back then, because all I could hear was people making fun of the lace in the movies and things like that. Again, they have incredible chemistry. I liked it because it's the first one. The second one, I had way too many wait, what's going on with it. The first one, the same thing as I said with the Victor draft, I identified with her character in a way in this one with being like, her friends have fallen in love and they got married and then you're the single one still, and just take the veil thing out of it because that's usually a big wait what for things. But just her finding love, and in the beginning they showed with her boyfriend and they didn't really have that much chemistry, but to me it's because in my head I've seen them together as brother-in-law and sister in all the bakery movies, like for how many of them.
I
So,
got
like,
again with the incest stuff and the family love,
so it
Jenna.
was just
What is it with you?
sorry, but they didn't work. They weren't together. They ended. He went to LA. But with Victor, like they just like their chemistry. And there were a couple of times I legally like were giggling because it was just like it was real, and a lot of times, and just how the awkward flirting thing and everything going on. And I liked how he helped her with what she needed to do for work and she was helping him. I just liked it a lot. Just, I don't know. I just found a lot of similar things with that movie. So not the veil, but
I think you're absolutely right. Take the veil out of it and it stands alone on its own. They do have really great chemistry. They play off one another really well. Yeah. So the Wedding Veil Legacy at number 4. Erinbeth, you are going to keep this at number 4, or will you use your one remaining veto to get it off the list?
Of the 2 that are eligible for this draft, this is the better one for the reasons that Jenna said. Too much going on in that other one. Of all the Wedding Veil movies, I do think this is the best. And I even have in my notes, take the veil out, and this would have been a great movie if they'd stopped at the restaurant when he was twirling her around and her feet come up, and you're like, oh yes, what girl or what person has not ever dreamed of just being picked up and twirled around? I think we probably judged it too harshly when it first came out because it was a wedding veil movie. So it can stay.
It can stay. Okay. So Erinbeth has graciously allowed it to stay as far as she's concerned. Happy, what do you think? Did you like the Wedding Veil trilogy movies overall? Not just this one, but just overall?
I didn't hate them. I do love the friendship aspect of this series. It's really great to have girlfriends that you've known for a long time who can totally speak into your life and will tell you the hard truth when you need to hear it. The veil thing, whatever, it's fine. But I have to veto this movie. I,
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry. It's not a bad movie. It's fine. But there are so many other movies that are better than this one. And we have already given a chemistry between Vic and Alex a vote. So we don't need to do that twice on this list.
Happy says no to the Wedding Veil legacy at number 4. I like your thinking behind that too. It's, we've already got this couple in some way. We've recognized them all already. But Jenna, yeah, you might be able to play this at number 2, even though it's vetoed here. And Happy has the veto override. She can't she could override her own veto if she wanted to, but doesn't sound like she's going to do that. I think we're all set to move forward with Jenna giving us her replacement pick for number 4. She's thinking there.
It's hard. I'm gonna go Good Morning Christmas.
From 2020, Alison is Mel. Mark Blucas is in this as Brian. It's 2 squabbling TV hosts that are sent to a festive small town over Christmas. Mel is always prepared, and Brian likes to wing it on camera. And while pretending to get along for the sake of appearances, they discover there's more to each other than they thought. This movie was actually ranked 8th in the top 10 list of the Mark Blucas, Travis Van Winkle, Brant Doherty draft back in February 2024 by Lisa, Jen, and Meredith. I personally love this movie. Jen, I'm so excited that you're playing this at number 4. I'm curious to see what happens here.
I liked it because her and Mark have incredible chemistry. The storyline was good. You could, like, in the beginning of it, when like you could tell they didn't like each other because she had that really bad fake laugh, like when she would do like when they'd be on air or whatever. The part at the end where he came in the sleigh and he just picked her up and blooped and like right into the sleigh. That was awesome. It goes with Erinbeth's thing. What person doesn't want to be picked up and thrown into a sleigh or something, turned, twirled. I thought it had a really good supporting cast, but I just really liked it. I just thought it flowed good. It had good chemistry overall.
Has Mark Blucas ever played her brother or father in any other Hallmark movie or non-Hallmark movie before?
Not that I know of.
And you still love this movie. That's what I love
I
about
do. I
you.
love Mark Lucas. I do. I liked
He's
him like Necessary Roughness. I think that was like a USA
oh,
show.
yeah.
I've liked him
He's
since then. Yeah.
he's great. Absolutely. Erinbeth, what do you think of Good Morning Christmas at number 4 and the whole enemies to lovers might be a bit much, but enemies to romance trope?
I don't like every enemy to romance trope, but I do like this one. Don't like that he has a girlfriend. I hate that part of it, but I can get over that for the fact that they do well to build a relationship between them. And if you were just judging it purely on Christmas feels, it would be number 1 because there's so much Christmas. And yes, not only do I want to be picked up in a restaurant in Twirled, I'd also like to be picked up, put into a Santa sleigh, and have Mark Lucas look at me like he looked at hers. I am all for that. The only thing that hurts me about this one is I do feel that 4 is too low for this movie, but that's the only thing that hurts my feelings, so I'm going to let it stay.
Since Happy is out of vetoes, this is where it's going to stay at number 4. But Happy, I still would like to know your thoughts on this movie. Do you like Good Morning Christmas?
I do. I love this movie. I think a newscaster tension thing is always a good storyline because you have to put on a good face no matter what's going on behind the scenes. But you can tell in the way that they're acting that what's happening behind the scenes is changing because their interaction on screen becomes more and more natural. Christmas did throw up in this movie, which made me very happy. It's tasteful Christmas everywhere. A lot of it, a whole lot of it, very much. But it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It just made me want to buy Christmas pajamas and have cocoa.
Absolutely. All right. Good Morning Christmas. It is at number 4. And Happy, that brings us to you for your final pick at number 3. How's it going to end for you on this list? What do you like?
I'm torn because if I play what I think I'm going to play, I am being a little bit hypocritical in my reasoning for rejecting the wedding veil.
You would not be the first.
I'm going to play it anyway. I'm going to play The Irresistible Blueberry Farm.
This movie's like a classic in the Allison fandom world. Absolutely. Allison plays Ellen in this. It's from 2016. Mark Blucas is Roy. Ellen receives a letter that her deceased grandmother requests that she hand delivers to a man in her grandmother's childhood home in Maine. So she begins a journey of discovery of her grandmother, herself, and a quality of life. And this movie was ranked 10th in that draft that I just mentioned, the Mark Blucas, Brant Doherty, Travis Van Winkle draft back in February that Lisa, Jen, and Meredith were on.
This has always been one of my favorite Hallmark movies. I love the book just as much, but Mark Blucas and Alison Sweeney just have incredible chemistry. It is supercharged in this movie, and the supporting cast is absolutely great. I love Kevin Smith in this movie. He is such a good sport about the whole thing. He didn't need to be, but he was. So mad respect to the character there for doing that. But just the running jokes with her like checking in and out of the inn and the innkeeper just like keeping her room clean and ready for her because she'll be back. That was fantastic. Running around town trying to buy every copy of the newspaper for damage control was hilarious. But also just the backstory of this being where her grandmother grew up and where she made a life choice. And then like her spirit showing up to encourage her granddaughter to be a little bit more independent than all of the expectations that are being placed on her. And the way that she really battles that, like, that's real. We all have things like that, expectations that we are dealing with that we need to decide, is this okay? Or do we need to take a different path? And it's not an easy choice. And it's not an easy choice when your mother's breathing down your neck and when you're falling in love with somebody in a town you don't live in. Yeah, absolutely love this movie from start to finish. It's great. I watch it as often as I can.
I love everything that takes place in this movie. It's poignant and it's funny and it's heartwarming and it's enlightening, I think. Those are just my thoughts. Jenna, what do you think of The Irresistible Blueberry Farm at number 3?
This will be number 1. This was my favorite. If you thought that Good Morning Christmas, this is why I was trying not to say too much during it. Their chemistry in Irresistible Blueberry Farm is off the charts. From the beginning, from their kiss in the water, whenever they're standing next to each other, like they have incredible chemistry. I liked how they played out the storyline with her boyfriend / possible fiance. Everything that Happy said with the hotel person and everything like that. I love the Krusty the Lobster, where she was trying to get the papers and she was trying to get them and do damage control. And like the woman that played her mom was in Chronicle Mysteries. So again, like these characters just recycle through them all. I like that they chose the song Footloose to do the karaoke, because I have my captions on my TV and just actually seeing the words for the song, it was like the perfect song for this movie and like what she was going through. And the thing with her grandmother and her having to make essentially the same choice. So I just thought it was my number 1. So
It's your number 1. You can veto it and play it at number 2. You can be a lady panda and move it up 1 notch.
you never know what I'm going to do it to.
Yeah. All right. So you're going to let it
I'm
ride?
going to let it go. Yeah.
Okay. Erinbeth, it's up to you. What are your feelings about the Irresistible Blueberry Farm at number 3?
So, in case we're keeping track, I want to be lifted in the air and swung around in a restaurant. I want to be put in a sleigh, and I want someone to look at me like Mark Lucas looks at her when she's getting out of the truck at the very beginning. Like that, I completely agree about the chemistry in this movie. It is on fire. I like this movie. Respect the claw when you're talking about trying to get out of the sheets. Like, you got to respect the claw. It's funny. It's poignant. I don't like Kevin Smith's character. Like, I'm the opposite of Happy. Not a fan of his character in this. Love him. Not a fan of his character in this. But it's a good movie. I really like it. So it will not get a veto from me.
We
All
do
right.
have to bring up the wall of weird heads that was
Wall of Weird
behind
Heads.
them when they were talking.
I will
Which we
post
did
that
lots
image
of
again.
research. There was lots of research done. It's an art installation.
It's curiosity, man. It was weird.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a jolt if you really focus on that. I'll post the screenshot of that, the wall of heads, on the Instagram again, because it's cool if you just bypass it in the movie. It's interesting to take a look at. So the Irresistible Blueberry Farm is at number 3. Alicia, while Jenna is thinking of her final pick at number 2, do you have any thoughts on the Irresistible Blueberry Farm? Do you like this movie?
I liked it a lot. It's not as high on my list. And again, yeah, I think they have great chemistry. I don't know why I need to be better next time. I was like only writing down, which is the exact opposite of what I want to do, because I totally, as a writer myself, I totally respect and understand what happens during development and even production. Things change because of how they have to shoot it. But I just thought the kiss within the first 5 minutes, I was just like, what? I just didn't feel that it was earned at that time. Like, it didn't seem to come from character. I don't know. I just didn't get that. I thought there was interesting. I'm not a director at all. I have no desire to be a director, but I thought there was an interesting camera work, especially at the beginning. I thought that was really interesting. I'm fine with lying, fake relationships. So I'm fine with movies where they have boyfriends or girlfriends at the beginning. But I just felt the cheating in this I felt was cheating. It's egregious. Otherwise, I did really enjoy it. I think they have great chemistry, and it was on my top 10 list, but I just thought in this one, it went too long.
A little too long. I love the fake relationship trope. It's my number 1, right up there with time travel, time loop tropes.
Yes.
In real life, I don't choose to lie, but put me on Survivor and I will lie to your face with a smile. Jenna,
That's her Survivor clip right there.
Yeah, it is. Jenna, let's hear it. What's your final pick for this list for number 2?
What's the veto situation in the game right now?
So the veto situation is this. Happy only has a veto override, so she can only override a veto if somebody plays one, okay? Jenna, you still have 2 vetoes, believe it or not. And Erinbeth, you have 1 veto left. So that's the veto sitch.
It's a hard time because I can play a movie that I had as my 2,
Mm-hmm.
or
get
if
some
I really want
points.
to do gameplay, I can bring back a movie that was previously vetoed. But I don't like the movie that much. I liked it, but not as a 2. But then if I play, I don't know what 1 is going to be.
You play your number 2, you also get 2 points.
I know. And I'm not like a gameplay. I don't like gameplay. Okay, I'm going to go Love on there.
This is another movie where there's so much chemistry, a lot of great banter. It's from 2015. Alison Sweeney is Sonia. Jonathan Scarf is Nick. Sonia is a radio host who moves to Chicago for her boyfriend and a new hosting gig, which ultimately leads to the demise of her picture-perfect relationship. And unfortunately, she shares her troubles with a fellow colleague, Nick, not realizing that he's actually a competitor. But when these 2 rivals are forced to work together, they soon find out that they have more in common than their radio personas reveal. You looked like you were really concerned about playing this at number 2, but you played it.
They have really good chemistry. I still think her and Mark have, to me, the best chemistry. And then this is like a very close second, chemistry wise. Like just from the beginning and their banter. I always loved that banter, the beginning part of dating somebody and him sitting behind her in the movie theater and giving her a hard time about the size of her head and letting her have some of his popcorn. And they didn't know who each other was. She recognized his voice a little bit because she's, I feel like I know you. It's just the storyline, the progression, I think it was really good. Again, her fiance, boyfriend in the beginning, he was a murderer on one of the mystery movies. So it was like mentally for me, I just couldn't. I was fine with it not working out because again, it's the whole mental block thing. But like the minute they like are together, it's just like you just feel the chemistry. I like their banter with their radio station. I like her sending the text to him by mistake in the group text and then going through a doggy door to go delete it and then go back out through the doggy door. And the misunderstanding, it could have gone either way. She didn't know. But for him to call in at the end and go on air and say that and show up, that was like, it was good. So.
Okay, Erinbeth, is going on air and declaring your love and going to be added to your list of things that you need to have happen in your life, aside from being twirled, picked up in a sleigh, being looked, I've lost track of the list of your own top 10 list.
Let's see. No, I will tell you that a public declaration of love would not be on my top list of things to do because I would totally be embarrassed by that. So, no. When my future great soulmate is listening to this, they will know what to do and what not to do. When I was trying to pick between two movies, when I was picking this time each year, Love on the Air was the other one. It is a good movie. I have a big thing for adult conversations. They have adult conversations. The misunderstanding that they know each other gets taken care of really quickly. The way he grows, the way she grows, like it's really good. Their chemistry's good. But I will say when at the end, it was all the feels. Like when he shows up in that radio station, you've got a heart of stone if you watch that ending scene and was like, eh. But so I'm good. I am good with it at number 2.
Well, number 2 is where it's going to stay because Happy only has a veto override. But Happy, what do you think of this movie at number 2? You happy with this choice and where it's going to be on the list?
I am actually. This was my number 1 pick. I absolutely adore this movie. I love a good frenemy trope, like the constant bickering that turns into a really deep friendship. Like, it's lovely. I had a really good time with this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. The scene where she crawls out the doggy door, oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. But it like brings that level of levity to a very stressful situation that this movie needed. So yeah, this was great. Love that this has made the list so high.
I think it's great. Such a great scene. Alicia, do you like Love on the Air?
Yes, it was my number 1. I think Jonathan Scarf and Greg Vaughn from Second Chances Hearts on Fire need to be in more. I don't know what the deal is, but they're both great. I thought that Alison had a lot more spunk than usual, so I loved that. And the banter, you were talking about banter, and when I read the going on like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and people who comment on the Hallmark official social media sites about, oh, I love the banter. And it reminds me of, I'm dating myself, but Crocodile Dundee, when he's confronted with a knife and then he brings out, that's not a knife. This is a knife. And while the dialogue in the other movies is banter, I want to say that's not banter. This is banter. And so I just loved it.
All right, Erinbeth, it's all up to you. You chose to have drafter A and the big responsibility of the number 1 pick. We had 27 movies to start with, a list that could only take 10. No pressure. What's the number 1 pick going to be that you hope Jenna doesn't veto?
Before I say what my number 1 pick is, I want to make it very clear that I'm having to go deep on my list because all my top ones have already been chosen in another place. I would have vetoed Love on the Air to play it at number one, except for I was scared to death Second Chances was going to make it on this list if I did that. So that because of those two things, I am offering up Open by Christmas.
So Erinbeth has said that she's had to go deep on her list to come up with this title. It's from 2021. Allison is Nikki. Brennan Elliott is in here as Derek. Erica Durance makes an appearance. We all love Erica Durance as well. Nikki finds an unopened Christmas card from a high school secret admirer, and she and her best friend Simone search to find and thank that anonymous author. Brennan's barely in this movie, even though he's the romantic lead. The storyline really focuses on Nikki and Simone's friendship and Nikki's journey of discovering who the card is from. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about this movie is there's a lot of Easter eggs in the movie. There's references to Allison's Murder She Baked series that show up in little ways, and in Brennan Elliott's Flower Shop murder mystery series that he did as well. So there's a lot for fans of both of those leads to look for when they watch this movie. But overall, Open by Christmas, what is it that you love about this movie that you think it should be number one, Erinbeth?
I like the little mystery in it. It was like there's this little mystery of who wrote the card. I enjoyed the relationship between her and Erica Durance. I liked that best friend relationship. And even when she thought that it was the best friend's fiance that wrote the card, there was no jealousy, there was nothing. It was literally still, let's figure this out. It was just a good movie. It's a good feel. It was in my top 10. It just wasn't this high. And I love Brennan. Brennan Elliott did a great job. Allison did a fantastic job as always. It deserved a spot on this list, I do believe. Just maybe not as number one, but it's a good movie.
Okay, so Erinbeth says Open by Christmas deserves to be on the list, Jenna. She's not entirely sure it should be at number one, even though she played it at number one. You have the only veto that can be played against her. What do you think? You going to agree with her and let it stay on the list as the number one movie for Alison Sweeney, or are you going to veto it?
It's a hard one because she said this wasn't her number one. This was on my list until the other day when the new one took its place and came on. The hard thing with this one is that, again, her and Brennan are barely together in the movie. To me, it's more about the friendship with the two girls. It's also like the friend's relationship with her son, the fiance of her friend. Like, to me, like they weren't together. The kiss at the end was not deserved. And then he dipped her. I like a good dip, don't get me wrong. But like the kiss and dip was not, it wasn't just because they were barely together. And for him to write in the card, I love you. Again, if you take the whole amount of time that they were together, but if I veto this, I'm afraid of what could go on.
I'm afraid of what could go on as well. Just so you know, you're not the only one.
This is a hard decision. I'm going to let it stay.
The ringing endorsements from the people that have any influence to change the number one movie on this list are just staggering here. Really hold back your enthusiasm. Open by Christmas will be the number one movie on this list. But Happy, what are your thoughts here? If you had a veto, would you have played it?
I don't know, because I too do not think that this movie deserves to be number one. It deserves to be on the list. It does. This was a charming movie. I love just how, and I hear the argument for they don't spend a lot of time together. How did this happen so fast? But at the same time, when they do spend time together, it is intense. They just skip over. I think they actually joke about this. They skip over all of the normal dating stuff to real deep conversations. Like, why are you afraid to make your own choices? I would find that challenging on a first or second date. They go there, and they go there as adults. And I appreciate that. Again, the maturity in this movie is great. Also, I haven't said this yet, but I think one of the things I love most about Alison Sweeney is that she can say so much with a facial expression. And I think a lot of the communication that happens in this movie is completely in the way that they look at each other and in the way that they look after they've encountered each other. It tells you a lot about what's going on inside their heads. So, yeah, I don't think I would have vetoed this if I had the power to do it anyway, because it does deserve to be on the list. But I just want it to be clear that none of us think this is right.
I think the
That's a
listeners hear that loud and clear, that this is deserves to be on the list, not necessarily at number one. You guys, great job. Sit back for a second because Alicia and I are going to reveal what we have on our personal top 10 list and see how we did for our own bragging rights against what you guys actually came up with for the final top 10. Alicia, what was your top 10 list?
At number 10, I had Love and Jane. At number 9, Open by Christmas. Number 8, Christmas at Holly Lodge. Number 7, The Irresistible Blueberry Farm. Number 6, Wedding Veil Journey. Number 5, Wedding Veil Legacy. Number 4, Good Morning Christmas. Number 3, Second Chances, Hearts on Fire. Number 2, This Time Each Year. And number 1, Love on the Air.
Awesome. Do you know how many points you got?
I got a total of 8. I had one that was the same ranking.
Yeah, exactly. Good Morning Christmas. So you had 8 points. My top 10 list was at 10, The Wedding Veil Legacy, A Magical Christmas Village, which nobody mentioned. That's with Luke McFarlane. Chronicle Mysteries, The Deep End, One Bad Apple, a Hannah Swenson mystery. Love and Jane was my number 6 at 5. Christmas at Holly Lodge, 4. The Irresistible Blueberry Farm at 3. This Time Each Year at 2. Good Morning Christmas, and at number 1, Love on the Air. So I got a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies. I lost as usual. That's okay with me. Alicia, you win. Let's hear how the panelists did. Let's hear their personal top 10 lists. And again, if there was a movie that was on your list that we didn't talk about at all, feel free to mention it and say why it is that you liked it. So let's just use the veto order. Let's start with Jenna. Jenna, what was your top 10 list?
Okay, you have to give me a second because this is really tiny that I'm looking at. Okay.
Okay.
10, Christmas at Holly Lodge. 9, Time for You to Come Home. 8, The Sprinkle of Deceit. 7, Second Chances, Hearts on Fire. 6, Help to Death. It was the Chronicle Mystery one, the last one. We really didn't talk about that one. That was my favorite just because it finally got to the point where at the end he finally asked her out on a date. But I thought like the supporting cast was good and the mystery was good in it because I honestly didn't know who it was going to be until the end. 5, Good Morning Christmas. 4, Wedding Veil Legacy. 3, This Time Each Year. 2, Love on the Air. And 1, Irresistible Blueberry Farm.
Great list. Erinbeth, what was your list?
Number 10 was Love and Jane. Number 9 was Murder, She Baked, a Plum Pudding Murder Mystery. And it's purely because it's a rarity because it's Christmas themed and they do not do murder mysteries at Christmas on Hallmark. So I love that one. 8, Chronicle Mysteries Recovered. 7, Open by Christmas. 6, The Irresistible Blueberry Farm. 5, Hannah Swenson Mystery Sweet Revenge. 4, This Time Each Year. 3, Love on the Air. 2, Christmas at Holly Lodge. And 1, Good Morning Christmas.
Oh, not Open by Christmas. Oh, what a surprise. Another great list. Happy, what was your top 10 list?
At number 10, Christmas at Holly Lodge. 9, A Sprinkle of Deceit, a Hannah Swenson mystery. 8, Love It and Jane. 7, This Time Each Year. 6, Open by Christmas. 5, Good Morning Christmas. 4, A Magical Christmas Village. And I didn't play that one at number 3 because I figured it would get vetoed.
It would have been vetoed.
It is,
Aw.
I will admit, it is a little bit on the cheesy side. However, Marlo Thomas is a treasure. She's hysterical. The mom in this movie is such a trip, and you're just like, what is happening most of the time when she's on screen? And yet she shows up with these zingers. I actually wrote this quote down: own what you want, Summer, and then let the universe bring it to you. And I think that might have been like what pushed me over the edge to be like, I don't care that this is cheesy. This is in my top 5 because I have been going through a book called The Artist's Way that talks about how writing down the things that you want and dreaming big actually clears the blocks that exist within you. And so that wisdom in this quote just like really spoke to my heart at where I am in my life right now. Also, I just love the magic element. I'm a sucker for a little bit of Christmas magic, and the fact that the kid was sitting there and looking at the village and asking, "Where do the batteries go?" just made me laugh. I thought it was great.
You and I can watch this movie together. I love this movie for all the same reasons. That quote that you cited is exactly something my mother would say to me. Absolutely. Just the universe will speak to you like, okay. But somehow she's always typically right. And a little bit of Christmas magic can go a long way. So I'm glad to see this one was on your list. What else was on your list? I don't think we got through it all. Did we?
You're right, we did not.
I think that was number 4.
That was number 4. So number 3 was The Irresistible Blueberry Farm. Number 2, Second Chances, Hearts on Fire. And number 1, Love on the Air.
Awesome. Alicia, you were scorekeeping throughout this match. Tell us about everybody's list and the 3 scores and who won.
Bringing up the rear, we have Erinbeth. She had a total of 9 points. She got 8 movies on the list and 1 in the correct spot. And then we have a tie with Jenna and Happy. Jenna had 7 movies on the list and 3 were in the correct spot. And Happy had 8 movies on the list and 2 movies in the correct spot.
First of all, great job, everybody. Congratulations. Happy, that means that you can be in the 2024 Tournament of Champions for Hallmark Movie Drafts. Jenna, you were in it before, but now you're doubly in it, which does nothing for you. But this is such great news. Thank you all for doing this. It was such a blast. Listeners, be sure to follow Hallmark Movie Drafts wherever you get your pods: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, really everywhere. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel. We just launched it. Coming up in December, it's our annual 10 best non-holiday movies of 2024. It includes the 9 movies that premiered on Hallmark Plus in September and October. It's a massive list, and it's up to Kate, Tracy, and Stephanie to battle it out. There might even be a surprise bonus episode. I'm not sure yet if that's going to drop in the main podcast feed or just for the YouTube channel subscribers. So that'll close out the 2024 season of Hallmark Movie Drafts. And in January 2025, we'll kick things off with the 10 best holiday movies of 2024. And then we'll roll into the Tournament of Champions that I just mentioned. So it's going to be a big month for January. Alicia, any final thoughts on your first time as hosting, or any final thoughts on what you think your drafting experience might be like when you're drafting in 2025?
I had a blast, so thank you for inviting me. I've listened to episodes and obviously watching these wonderful players today. Gameplay is hard. I was listening to one where Cece was like looking back at what people had commented on the movies. I feel like I just got to play what's in my heart and what I like. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. You're actually going to be in the Valentine's draft in February 2025. And listeners, if you haven't seen Alicia's Hallmark movie, Perfect Harmony, you've got to watch it. Once more, for the final time, here's the definitive list of the 10 best Alison Sweeney Hallmark movies as drafted by Erinbeth, Jenna, and Happy. Here we go. At 10, Christmas at Holly Lodge. At 9, Time for You to Come Home for Christmas. At 8, Chronicle Mysteries, Recovered. At 7, Love and Jane. At 6, A Sprinkle of Deceit, a Hannah Swenson mystery. At 5, This Time Each Year. At 4, Good Morning Christmas. At 3, The Irresistible Blueberry Farm. At 2, Love on the Air. And at number 1, a movie that all 3 panelists heartily agree absolutely should be on the list. Maybe not a number 1. Open by Christmas. Let's all say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Norman.
Never Norman. No, not
Yes,
gonna happen.
Norman.
Never. No, it's not
Team
gonna
Norman.
happen. No, don't
Team
be
Norman.
Norman. No,
Yes.
stop. Just
I don't want
I'm-
to be Norman.
okay. I'm stopping the recording. Goodbye. Hallmark Movie Drafts is a monthly production. Stephanie Purcell creates the movie synopses using descriptions from IMDb or Hallmark.com as a base. Kate Baca vets the list of eligible movies and manages our Letterboxd account called Hallmark Drafts, where you'll find the list of eligible movies for each show, as well as the final top 10 lists and the panelists who drafted them. Erinbeth Cermak creates the Where to Watch lists and the trivia round questions, and along with Stephanie and Kate, provides additional creative, research, and hosting support. I'm Lynn Austin. I'm the showrunner, producer, and host. I staff the panels, create the show topics, manage the production schedule and the HMD socials, and edit and publish the podcast. Intro and outro music is provided courtesy of Amato Zapana. Thank you to the Deck the Hallmark Double-Deckers, who share their passionate opinions on these Hallmark movies that we love, or maybe not love, so much.